Philadelphia chapter, the Links Incorporated, the founding chapter. We are thrilled to be here today. We are thrilled to be here to welcome all of you. This is a great turnout. We want to thank United Bank, who is hosting us today. We have a number of our members here. If I could ask them to stand so that we could acknowledge you. Thank you very much. It is this partnership, collectively, this is a small portion of our membership. To give you a little bit of history about the Links Incorporated, founded in Philadelphia in 1946. The Links Incorporated is one of the oldest and largest volunteer service organizations of women who are committed to enriching, sustaining, and ensuring the culture and economic survival of African Americans and other persons of African ancestry. There are nearly 12,000 professional women of color serving in 273 chapters in 42 states, including District of Columbia, overseas in Europe, and the Bahamas. And we provide volunteer services in the area of national and international trends and services, services to youth, and the arts. So it truly is our pleasure to be here supporting something that's so vital to Philadelphia, literacy and reading.
Hello, my name is Vernon Odom. I'm a reporter for 6 ABC in Philadelphia, the ABC Disney-owned station in Philadelphia. I've been fortunate during my career to have traveled overseas many times, including coverage of the release of Nelson Mandela from prison in South Africa back in 1990, the unbanning of his organization, the ANC, and I was fortunate enough to return 4 years later when they had the first free elections in South Africa, in which Mr. Mandela was elected president of South Africa. He served one term, of course, and then retired into international statehood. Was honored to meet and cover the release and the election of the man who was one of the most renowned political prisoners in the history of the entire world. I'm going to read a portion of a speech of his from 1997. It's extracted from his speech at the launch of the National Campaign for Learning and Teaching in 1997. Mr. Mandela is an incredibly brilliant person, and many of the things you'll hear in this portion of his speech could be talked about right here in the United States because there are problems and issues that exist here as well as in South Africa. So let me begin. Our country is well endowed with natural resources, but our most valued treasure is our people, especially the youth. It is our human resources that enable us to reap the benefits of all of our other assets. Our fight against poverty, crime, and all the maladies of our society require us to invest in the development of our human resources. At the forefront of this effort is education and training. We're obliged to make it possible for everyone to develop their potential to the full, to provide opportunities for everyone to learn and nurture their talents. We have a duty to create a conducive environment and to provide the necessary tools and the mechanisms to support people in their endeavors to better themselves. The potential to be reclaimed is immense. The millions of our adults who never had the chance to learn to read and write, the hundreds of thousands of our youth displaced from education without any meaningful skills, the nation's workers who must ensure that our country embraces the world's new technologies. We can tap this power to build a better life by using every opportunity to ensure that our nation learns. We can no longer afford to sit by while some schools are turned into havens of drug abuse, violence, or vandalizing of valuable property. We can no longer sit and watch while any of our country's children are held back in the mire of ignorance and lack of skills. Let us join hands and work to make our schools work for us. I thank you. The words of Nelson Mandela in a speech to educators back in 1997.
We learn every day, right? So we're here today for the to celebrate the Big Read, okay? Yes, the Eagles Bookmobile is part of our program today, but we also have some visitors here too. You see these ladies right here? Yes. What do we say? I can't hear you. Hello or good morning. Yeah.
And we know wherever we are, and they're boys and girls, it's important to learn to read. Isn't that right? Yes. There are a lot of people across the world that don't know how to read. In fact, there are 700 million people all over the world that don't know how to read. But I'm so proud of you boys and girls because you know how to read.
Oliver and his bedhead. Aw, jeez. Click. Got it, said the photographer. And when the class photo came back, everyone in the picture was looking in the same direction, but it wasn't at the camera. They were all looking at Oliver and his terrible bedhead that was going 1, 2, 3, boing! And that is the end.
I am Dorothy Sumners Rush, and I have been involved in education a long time, first as a teacher, then as a principal, and then on the school board, and finally I'm on the Board of Trustees of Community College of Philadelphia. I am a past president of the Philadelphia Lynx, and literacy is very important to me because it means you have the ability to read and write, explore, understand, and enjoy the written word. From the time I was 2 years old, I used to go to the library with my mother, and when I entered first grade, my brother and I used to stop by the library every day on the way home from school, and it opened up new worlds for me about people and places and cultures, and it gave me ideas to dream. And all the way through elementary and senior high school, I just continued to read and enjoy it. It's been a lifelong love, and it led to a career for me in teaching. But reading is good for your mental health, it is fun, and it's good for the soul.
And now it looks like next year we're going to find a bigger auditorium for all of our friends to come.
Do I have a book? Do I have some pictures? Do you know how I tell my stories? I use my words. Say yay, words! Yay! And do you know where the pictures will be? Right inside of your mind, yeah.
My name is W. Wilson Good, Sr., former mayor of Philadelphia, but most importantly, I am a connecting link. When I ran for mayor 26 years ago, I recall reading the front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer that 40% of adults in the city of Philadelphia could not read above the 4th grade level. I pledged then that when I was elected, I would do everything I could to solve the problem. I established the first and only office on literacy within the office of the mayor in the country. I did so because I know how important reading is. You see, my father never learned to read. I have vivid memories of him making an X and my mother signing his name. He never read a book or a newspaper, but he inspired me to learn all I could learn and read all I could read, and had a front row seat when I was sworn in as the first African-American mayor in this city.
You know where you're going? Yeah. I know where I'm going. That's right. Do you know where you're going? I know where I'm going. Check this out. Come on.
Now, this young man, he's got a plan to make 10 grand. Now he understands that you have to stay dedicated by any circumstance. Everybody clap your hands, we plan to advance. This young man, he's got a plan to make 10 grand. Now he understands that you have to stay dedicated by...
Good morning. On behalf of the leadership team, I welcome you in the Philadelphia chapter of the Lynx and Mayor Good to the best school in the school district of Philadelphia.
We are the Philadelphia chapter of the Lynx Incorporated, and we are a group of women that go out into the community and volunteer. And one of the projects that we're working on this year is to help adults and youth with reading and literacy. So one of the projects that we're working on is with a group of women in Haiti who do not know how to read, but yet they have their own businesses.
Earlier, I was talking to a few of the girls that were sitting in the front, and they said to me, well, what is the program all about today? And I think already it's been mentioned to you that this program that we are putting on, and we hope to do it year after year after year, because literacy and reading is something that you don't just do once. You do it all the time, and you read again and again and again. You practice reading just like you practice football or basketball or tennis. That's how you get good at reading. You practice and practice and practice.
I'm delighted to be here with you and share with you just for a few minutes a few comments on why I am so passionate about reading. I grew up in the rural South on a sharecropping farm. And the place which I grew up was segregated. It did not have libraries. And the school which I attended did not have books except those that were handed down from other schools who had used them, and they were all damaged. And what was important for me was, at every chance I had to find a book and to read a book, I took advantage of it. I went to a prison not far from here, and I saw in that prison a grandfather, a father, and a grandson, all in the same prison at the same time. And one thing they all had in common was they could not read above the 4th grade level. When I was about to leave, the grandson pulled me aside and said to me, I have a son that I've never seen. I wonder whether I can see him for the first time in prison as well.
The future is only half bright, or in my father's words, this country is a bird flying with one wing. It cannot soar for long, he said as he looked on towards the school ground.
Today I want to have a little discussion about literacy and the importance of it or the lack of it. Literacy is the translation of success and a healthy life. It doesn't mean that you'll make a lot of money. It doesn't mean you'll be poor. What it does mean is that the ability to read makes it clear that you can do anything. Literacy is the vehicle by which you can do anything. The inability to read certainly is far-reaching to the extent that you will be curtailed. Your ability to do many things will in fact not be possible. To drive a car, to read a newspaper, your ability to intelligently talk to people. What about the simple thing of directions? How do you get somewhere? Reading a sign. I mean, it isn't rocket science. It isn't silly science. It's real science. You have to be able to read. And literacy, the ability to read, is the car. It is the vehicle. It is the way to be successful and have a healthy life.